Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships.
So here we are, round 4 of the UK Angling Championship, and we're at Barston Lakes in Birmingham, the venue that hosts the last round every single year. It has a habit of biting back, but will it this year? It's gone a little bit chilly. It's raining at the moment, but hopefully it will dry up a little bit later on. The competition, however, that will be hot. Pemb Wrighting, 3 perfect scores so far. Can he keep that up? You know what, if he can, he's unstoppable, but there are a number of very, very capable anglers snapping at his heels.
The tour started off at Lindholm Lakes up in Doncaster, Yorkshire, and what a brilliant day that was. Some of the top competition anglers in the country line up for the UK Championships, and 80 of them started there. You've only got to look at who is on the podium to realise what a big event this is. Round 2 saw us head over to Decoy Lakes, and you couldn't have asked for different conditions. And once again it was that man, Pemb Wrighting, taking yet another section win to go into round 3 in the lead. Round 3 was Shropshire's rather wonderful Western Pools near Oswestry, and a massive battle was taking place between Nick Speed and the man of the moment, Pete Bailey. The battle raged between Speed and Bailey, and eventually it was decided with Bailey on top. Elsewhere, however, there was a certain Pemb Wrighting who was battling away for small fish on a lake known as the Clay Pit, and once again he took a section win, making it 3 out of 3, putting him in an absolutely fantastic position at the top of the table. And let's just have a look at that table, and we can see 2 former champions, including the defending champion, in that mix in the top 8. Regular angler Jimmy Brooks, first time out in this, but hot shot on the scene. He's in the mix too, as was Kian Wardle and Steve Rothery. The big scrap was between Bailey and Speed, equal on 4 points, and Pemb Wrighting's perfect score of 3 put him in the lead, but with a rather low weight, meaning if it came to a countback, he could be in trouble.
Final round, and you're at the front of the pack.
Yep.
Good place to be.
Yeah, I'd much rather be in front than behind, but Barston's it's a wicked place, great fishery, but it's a horrible place to come when you need a result, because anything can happen here, literally anything.
We do say it bites back, and one of the things that you've got in your favour is your points advantage, but your weight advantage isn't brilliant either, is it?
No,
you need to be winning sections today, really.
Yeah, it's it's not one of those days where I can fish for a second or a third. Got to go for a win, definitely. Got to be ruthless and give it me all, 100%, yeah.
Well, you've done that all the way through. You're quite comfortable with that style of fishing?
Yeah, I really like here at Barston, but it can bite you in the bum here, so certainly not counting me chickens, and yeah, I'll just try my best throughout the day, and what will be.
Well, Mr. Speed, the final frontier is here. How are you feeling?
Looking forward to it, Rob. Really looking forward to it. We all know Barston. It can play some cruel tricks on you sometimes. However, it's a fair venue, I believe. Obviously, there's certain pegs that you'd always want to draw, but I think generally it's about making the right decisions. I've been down practicing. I know the venue very well anyway, so I'm just going to see where I draw before I make my decision on what I'm going to be doing.
You've got a pretty good weight advantage over Pemb at the moment, but you've got Nick neck and neck with you too. You had a great scrap over at Western Pools last time. We're going to see a repeat process.
Again, this venue is very different from one side to the other. If we all drew in the same section, it would make certainly an interesting match. The weight advantage is important. If Pemb does lose a point today, Obviously me and Nick will be biting at his heels.
Well, this is it, crunch time. And Ray, let's just have a look at the table at the moment. Pemb Wrighting, he's absolutely on fire. 3 perfect scores, and he's not in a bad place today. It's going to be a tough section, but he could do it, couldn't he?
For sure. Pemb fancied his draw. Nigel, who runs the place, didn't fancy it. So that's very interesting. 2 quality anglers with a different opinion of the same draw, you know. Pemb's obviously done brilliantly well to win his sections, gain maximum points at the moment with 3 points. However, the only thing we'll be geeing the anglers on today is, out of all the anglers in the top 10, Pemb has actually got the lowest combined weight, despite leading the UK champs at the moment. So in the event of a tie, what's going to happen is it's going to be counted back to weight. Pemb could easily lose a point because of the lack of weight.
Absolutely, he's got to go out and out for that section win at the moment, hasn't he? When the draw took place, we know that Nick Speed is in 21 and Pemb is in 25. I thought they'd drawn the same section. As it turns out, Pemb is the end peg in B section as opposed to A section. So it would have been really interesting if they were in the same section. They're not, which means they can't take points off each other. So they are going to be listening to what's happening in opposite sections as well. I think Nick Speed is looking good in this section. He's at a good end of it. He's got a decent bit of open water. He's just behind us here. Yep. He's got a good bit of open water and it's good for carp, this area.
Yeah, it is. The interesting thing is, like you say, we can see Pemb, we can see Nick. They're right close to us now. So despite being in other sections, they can pretty much see and hear exactly what the other person's doing.
Absolutely.
They're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. A lot of the pegging around this part of the lake is quite tight. So a lot of the venues we've covered so far, anglers have been on different lakes. This is one big lake, so news is going to be like, heard it through the grapevine around here today.
Yeah.
People are going to be listening, seeing what's going on in other sections. It's going to be very tactical today, I think, very tactical.
Now, there's a reason why this B section is so tight at the moment. Every peg is in, and that's because it's absolutely on fire.
Yeah,
when Nigel Harry's drawn, that peg has won this competition, or the peg that Nigel Harry's on, that has won, I think, 3 events.
Yeah.
Recently, 3 competitions in the festival.
I think he said it's worth like, it's won the last 3 or 4, 3 matches out of 4 or 5 that they've had on there. Also, when I was in the Maver qualifier here a month or so ago, that peg was the winning peg. It actually outfished 1, 2, 3 that I was lucky enough to draw, and 1, 2, 4 that beat me. So
absolutely,
it still outfished the 2 hot pegs, which are, you know, renowned over the other side of the lake.
So it's a very, very good area. We've got Pemb Wrighting in the area that is producing the majority of the fish, albeit not on the best peg in that section, but he's in the area where they produce fish. We've got Nick Speed. He is in A section and he is probably in one of the better pegs in that section. So real tight battle there. Let's now have a look at the other end of the lake. Peg 88 down at the bottom end. Pete Bailey not happy at all with his draw down there.
No, he's not happy with that at all. Today, listen, it's all going to be about the guys not winning the match. It's going to be about these boys winning the sections. Pete knows the venue very well. He has got that in his favour. He can keep an eye on what's going on around him. Even like, he doesn't have to necessarily win the section today. He'll be trying to get as high up as he can. So 2 or 3 points might not be the end of the world. As we've covered on before, Pemb just dropping a place, somebody else gaining a point time with him, going to knock him back because his weight's lower. Most of the guys, when they come to this venue, it's all about peg 28, peg 123, peg 124, winning the match. The Maver qualifiers, the Fisher qualifiers, the bigger tournaments, everybody wants to win the match. Today, it's not about winning the match necessarily, it's about winning your section. So even in the sections that aren't necessarily more about catching the big weights, 30, 40, 50 pounds, that's all about just being top out of them 10 anglers, Rob, today. You could be top out of 10 anglers with 30 pounds, you can get as many, or you could still gain a maximum of 1 point, just as well as you can by winning the whole match with 150 pounds in weight. So big on the sections today. The sections are quite tight, the anglers are close together. There's going to be a lot of this going on today. A lot of people checking out, see who else is doing what in their sections.
So here we are behind Pemb Wrighting now, peg 25, as we wait for the call of all in from the head marshals. And Pemb is sat there with cup in hand. Peg 25, Riverbank. Lovely day here at Barston, and it won't be long before the battle commences. There we are. All in is called, and let's have a look at the tactics now. Straight out with the pole. He's not got a rig on there, he's just feeding that. He's going to feed his short line just down to his right hand side. About a rod length off there. Thought he might come in a little bit closer, but he obviously knows exactly what he's doing, and he's gone a little bit further out than
expected. And the pole is now put down and forgotten about until later he picks up the rod that he's got set up in front of him. Let's just have a little look at what he's doing here. He's got a lead, probably going to clip on a PVA bag there, yep. As expected, small pink boilie and a PVA bag that's been dipped in some glug or other. Looking at the colour of it, I suspect I know what that is, but I'm not going to say anything. And that is what we in the carp world call PVA sticks, and in the match world it's known as teabagging. When he casts out, hits the clip on a tight line, lets the line sink down to the designated spot. And now it's a case of just popping the rod down, tightening that line up a little bit, and then watching the tip. Game on. Nick Speed now in section A, and this is peg 21, and he's straight into fish, and the match isn't 5 minutes old, and he's hooked into a fairly decent carp. Look at that, that's a corker.
Yeah, it's a big fish. Great start. Well, it is a donkey.
That is. That's a mid-double common there.
It's a shuffler.
He's really struggling with that. Look at the bend on the landing net there. He doesn't want to let the rod down just in case, but that is a big fish. Oh, there's calamity of tables going everywhere, but sometimes when you lucks in, and sometimes, you know, you get the rub of the green or whatever, but that is well deserved. Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships.
Cresta EVA luggage. When you're fishing in a match situation, you need lots of bait boxes. These come in all different sizes. They all fit inside each other. You've got your ground bait bowl, which can hold up to 2 kilos of ground bait. You've got your 2-pint bait boxes, which is perfect for all baits. You've also got your zip version. If it's raining at all, and you've got live baits in, you can simply zip them up like so. I actually use these for putting my accessories in, i.e. hooks and feeders and leads or whatever you want, but you can use them for whatever you like. And they all fit together and go in the EVA base bag, which comes very robust zips and a nice easy carry-all.
Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships. Peg 23 now, and Gareth Lennox looks like he's into what seems to be another good carp. Same sort of tactics, and there's clearly fish on the feed, and I think today's going to be a big weight match, you know, Ray?
Yeah, no pole set up on this peg either for Gareth. Everyone's going to be targeting these big fish that live out in the middle, or the pellet waggler chucks at about 30 yards. Lots of the guys sat down in the water to be a little bit lower as well today.
And a good sized fish there, look, that's a double figure carp.
Yeah, 10 bites of those in a match and you got £100.
Well, it's game on, just look at this.
It's all happening.
It seems to be wherever we look there is carbon being bent all over the place and big carp on the feed, and this looks a good fish for Pemb now.
I haven't seen this yet, but it sounded big, didn't it? There's a big old splash.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of kick down there, and looking at the stamp of the fish that have already been caught, we've seen a few carp between 10 and 14 pounds so far, and I would think this one is probably going to be in that region as well. Let's have a look. Oh, he's gone for a quick net on that one, but it didn't want to play ball, and there was some water moved. Look at that, the rod is bent. Almost double there into its battle curve.
Well, that's the biggest one we've seen, that.
That's a big mouth there.
Yeah, that's the sort of net you want, no messing around.
That is
Don't take any chances.
Rather large common carp that's going to take 2 hands for Pemb to get out of the water there. You may not have heard that, but he said it nearly pulled him in there, and that's a 20-pound plus fish. That is, as we say in carp fishing terms, an absolute unit. Great Goldstraw now on peg 24. Doesn't look to be a massive fish. It's coming in relatively well. The rod's bent a fair amount. We're going to go for smaller carp, or we're going to go for F1 on this one?
I'm going to go F1. I have been wrong many times.
A lot of people using a similar tactic here, Ray, that it seems to be long-range rod and either method or alternatively PVA bags.
Yeah, the boys have got a pellet waggler set up as well, but at the moment it's all about the long chucks.
Interesting how the wind's picked up. It was flat calm when the match started. We're half an hour in now and there's a little bit of a breeze on the water.
Yep.
Whether that might have a bit of an effect for the fish coming up and feeding a little bit more confidently.
Yep. It's very shallow as well, isn't it? So they probably appreciate a little bit of cover.
Absolutely. I think Craig's got his
I'm
hands
changing
full.
my mind from F1 to carp now.
It's definitely carp shaped
Yeah.
now. You did say that you'd been wrong before.
Yeah.
Very rarely, of course, Ray. But I might raise this one for you at some stage. It looks like it's a carp. It's come back out directly in front of him again now. It was looking a bit hooky. It might head into his next door neighbours on the left-hand side, but seems to be back in control and contention. And it's another decent-sized fish. Oh, that's it. It's in and it's safe. And that fish looks about 7-8 pounds. So Pemb up on his feet there. And one of the things with these Barston carp, particularly at long range, is they want to kite, and they've got quite a lot of room to do it. So he's got to be careful that it doesn't swing round to the right-hand side. And we see now this is the clever way to play it. Get that tip down and just keep it pumping in. And it's something the carp anglers can learn from a little bit, because sometimes they tend to play the rod with play the fish with the rod in the air. It's a lot better to play it with the rod down, isn't it?
Yeah, you see a lot of the carp anglers on telly seem to be playing with the drag endlessly and pointing the rod as high in the air as possible. And I always think, I don't understand that. The water's shallower here as well, so the carp can find it easier to kite left and right. Pemb's just keeping the rod tip low, keeping the pressure on the fish and trying to get it into the bank as quickly as possible. But let's see how big it is.
Well, the stamper fishing here is magnificent now. We've seen over the course of the years of coming here that there used to be quite a few 8 to 12 pounders, then they were 12 to 16 pounders, and actually now there's an awful lot in that 10 to 20 pound range with a reasonable head of 20 pound carp, and it wouldn't surprise me if there isn't another one or two of those big fish around. And certainly at this end of the pond, this seems to be where the big fish do like to loiter the majority of the time. Out in the middle there's a big gravel seam, and we get our first sight of what this fish is likely to be, and it is another good one.
It's a double, isn't it, I expect? And right to the very end, Rob Pemb's not even lifted his rod high until he tries to net the fish.
Let's have a look at it. I don't think it's quite
No,
double,
not
but
quite,
it's not
maybe.
far off.
I don't know.
Oh, it could
I don't
well
know,
be.
mate. I'd give that 10.
Yeah, that could well be £10.
I'd give that
That's a
£10.
brilliant start. And maybe the size of his landing net is making the fish look a little bit smaller than usual, because
That's
is
£10.
That is £10.
Yeah, that's £10.
That net is a lot bigger than the sort of net usually used by match anglers, and it's certainly accommodating these fish. So peg 43 now, and we're on the riverbank, and this is C-section and Steve Rothery here playing what looks like a small skimmer. And it's a very, very, very different game up here. He's in contention for the overall win, and even though we see the glamour of the big carp down the bottom end, these things are really important, aren't they?
They are a different kettle of fish, excuse the pun, up this end of the lake, Rob. No big clutches of big carp to fish for by chucking a huge feeder out into the middle of the lake. It's very much get your head down, get a section win. That's all these guys are thinking about down this end of the lake today.
This is where the championships for me is really exciting, because Steve here is well and truly in contention. There's only a couple of points that he needs, and he could be up there at the top of the tree by the end of the day. But there's other lads within the section that, you know what, they've blown out by now. There's nothing they can do that will allow them to win this championship. So they're either going to go all out for a match win, or alternatively all out for an individual section win for the prize money. How much does that play into Steve's hands? Because if there's some going for the overall win, like Adam Wakeling, we've seen him further up, he knows that he's not going to win anything here, really. He's more or less given up.
I think that all you can do is fish your own match in these situations. You just got to try and cut off what's going on around you. Steve knows today all he's got to do is win his section. If he wins his section, he can be well in the points and still in with a great chance of winning the UK champs.
down in the 50s now, and we see the pellet waggler coming into play, and there's quite a few anglers down here running a pellet waggler. And the carp do seem to like this area, although that looks like an F1. Nevertheless, Stewart will be quite happy with that one. Just looking over at Pete Bailey there, who is in the unfancied section, peg 83, but he's not doing too badly in this section at the moment. Eyes on the bank seem to think that he's in the lead. He's had a good first hour and a half, but the last 20 minutes, half an hour that we've been watching him, he's slowed down a little bit. Bit of a change in tactics now. He was on the pole. It looks like he's moved over to the pellet waggler.
Yeah, it looks like he's pinging his pellets out quite a long way. A few of the guys are doing the same tactic there at the moment, sticking with the pellet waggler, feeding the pellets. It gives them the option of chucking the straight lead or the feeder over the shorter line where they've been pinging the pellets. Not going too far out, as we've seen the guys fishing further on down the lake with the big feeder chucks, but still seems to be certainly a good method working today.
Robbie Taylor there just checking his bait. Everything all seems to be intact, and he's casting back out again. And it's very interesting seeing different people's styles of pellet waggler fishing. Some people cast an awful lot, which is the traditional style. Look at that, and Robbie Taylor is in straight away.
Yeah,
that's the reason
they'll have it straight
why
away.
they cast a lot. Bang, that landed. Couldn't have been in the water a second, and that is exactly how pellet waggler works, isn't it? The noise of that float hitting the surface, the bait falling through the water, and it's that constant noise that draws them in. And we know very well that the Barston fish here are definitely sound feeders.
In next door as well, both of them on.
Tony lands a bream. Robbie is still playing his unit.
That's a fish.
And Pete Bailey is not catching anything at all. And what seemed to be a great start for Pete has turned into a disastrous mid-stage, where all of those around him seem to be catching fish, but unfortunately he seems to be a little bit quiet. He's still pinging the pellets.
I don't want to put a curse on there, Robbie, but I wonder if that's a foul hook to that fish. You can't seem to be doing anything with it at the moment.
And here is the fish that's causing all the problem, and we see it directly in front of us. It is indeed a big carp, and it is indeed hooked in the tail. It's coming in backwards at the moment, and this is incredible. It's not something you see every single day of the week. It's certainly not something that you get to witness. Let's have a look now. It's directly in front of me. We've spent a lot of time on this so far, an awful lot of time, and this is where he faces his next difficulty, because obviously he can't get in front of the fish at the moment, and to net it he really needs to get underneath it or in front of it. He's just going to take his time. It's a good mid-double figure common. Amazing getting a look at it, actually, just cruising past us in the margins backwards. And we see he's shaking his head there, a little bit of backwind. That fish is still going again. It wants to go away, and there's a fair amount of fight in it left yet. And off it goes again. There we see it, just in front of us now, not 10 yards in front of him, on the surface. And there it is, on the surface, coming in backwards. It's coming from 100 odd yards, and he's got it. Would you believe it? Well done, Robbie. We have to say that was a brilliant result. A very good effort, and that is knocking on the door of £20, I should think. Looking at the tail there.
£20 of backwards carp. Well done, Robbie.
Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships.
Cresta competition landing net handles. Come in two styles, carp and silvers, both designed and made at 4 metres. You can use them at 3 metres just by simply taking one section away. Very strong, very efficient. These landing net handles have been specifically made so that if you needed to reach out in deep water or over weed on a river situation, absolutely perfect. Very strong and very light.
Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships.
So we reached the halfway stage in the competition and we are a little over halfway around the lake now. We've had a good look to see what is going on, and this section is really interesting. Down here just below us, just behind Ray, that is Pete Bailey, the man that is challenging Pemb Wrighting for first place, and it looks like he's winning his section at the moment.
It's nip and tuck here at the moment, isn't it? There's a lot of anglers very close to one another. We think Mick Bull and Pete Bailey have both got very, very similar weights. Mick plugging away on the pellet waggler. Pete down there, busy as ever. We've just seen Robbie catch a huge fish, foul it in the tail, which is great fun to watch for half an hour, but pretty nerve-wracking for even for us guys here.
Absolutely.
That's putting him up to 30-odd pounds, fish away.
It will be. What was interesting about that period when Robbie was catching that fish, it sort of, because it was foul hooked in the tail, it sort of swum all over the place, and virtually nobody in the section caught any fish during that 30-minute period. So that's great for Robbie, actually not very good for everyone else. Pete has had a very good first hour and a half.
Yep.
He's had 3 big carp.
Yep.
He's had a few other bits and bobs. He's slowed down. We've then got Mick on the far side over there. He actually had a steady hour, but then he picked up a little bit. It's like a seesaw, isn't it, this section?
Yeah, I think by what I can see over there, Mick's hill again on the pallet waggler. All these guys in this section as well is very interesting. They can all see what each other's doing. It's hard to sit next to someone and fish for skimmers to win a section when you know they've just had a 20-pound carp up the
Absolutely, yeah.
So
well,
it's
pellet waggler down here, that is the key. In the mid-section over there, in the slower section, we saw Steve Rothery. Now, he is plugging away trying to catch silvers. He's on the open-end feeder. It looks like he's doing pretty well in this section as well. So he's up there. And then up at the top end, we've got Nick Speed. We think he was winning his section, and Pemb Wrighting, well, he definitely was. So the top of the pack at the moment are actually the top of the pack yet again. Pemb Wrighting, now if he can carry on doing what he's doing, nobody can touch him. So everyone else can win their section. It's actually irrelevant, because if he gets a perfect score, he's out the way.
It's interesting where Pemb has drawn today, really, in an area that might be dominated by some of the biggest weights in the match. Pemb wanted to win his section today as much as everybody else did, but Pemb wanted to win his section today with a big weight because he's so far behind. I think, as we discussed earlier, Pemb out of the top 10 weights, he's got the lowest weight despite winning the league. So Pemb was really looking for the little bit of insurance today, not only being able to try and win his section, but he wanted to be in an area where he could win his section with £100, not £20 of skimmers, for example.
Absolutely, and you know, he's certainly up there and he can do that. The big question is he going to win his section? If he does, like we said already, it's irrelevant. If he doesn't, then that's when it opens up for these guys. Now, Pete is trying his heart out down here at the moment. We've still got 2.5 hours to go. The match is really only in its mid stages now. If this is a marathon, they've sort of found their positions in the pack and they're trundling along nicely. The last hour will be absolutely crucial. Peg 116 now, and Reece Hearn into a carp, and this is the roadside at the moment. And it's been very quiet over this stretch for a while, but would you believe it, in 3 casts he's had 3 carp. This being number 3, of course, not in the net yet, but it's more or less there, not far off at all. It's the fish like this that make an absolutely massive difference, and it's just in front of the net now as we speak. It's clearly a big carp. And he's got it, and that'll make a big difference to this section now. There's not been too much caught down here, Ray.
No, it's weird. Some of these guys really having to be patient today. Nothing happening for an hour or two, and then suddenly your rod goes around 3 times and 3 put-ins, and you've got £30 in the net. Well, huge fish.
Yeah, and £30 in no time at all. That is what's going to change this section around. And of course, in 117 next door, looking at that fish being landed, is Kian Wardle. He is in the race. However,
it's
in the
very
section
hard,
at the
isn't
moment, that's not going to do him any good at all.
When you've decided official match tactics just to get your head down and look for skimmers when nothing else is happening, and then you see that landed next to you, it really does throw the sort of, the spanner into the works, so to speak. You have to make a decision where you're going to go, whether you're going to stick with your game plan or whether you're going to try and catch something bigger.
I'm just looking down at Chris Vandervleit now, and this is peg 121. The significance of this is that he's doing well. He's catching a few fish towards the top end of the section. This seems to be where the action is at, and what that means is that Kian Wardle is going to be dropping points
For every fish that these guys catch, it's a point less
For Kian, yeah.
for Kian
Yeah,
Wardle, and of
definitely.
course that means that there are less people in the chasing pack to try and catch Pemb Wrighting.
There's a fish going on next door. Literally, all the 4 pegs we can see at the moment have got a fish on. Incredible.
And it's interesting that this is more or less directly opposite where Pemb Wrighting
Yep,
and Nick Speed
and
are.
Nick
And
are, yep.
it's clear that the carp like this area of the lake, and they also like down the middle of it. So these lads are all going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be chucking smelly baits out towards the middle. And I've not seen Chris's rig yet, but I would be prepared to put a fiver on the fact that he is probably fishing a tea bag, which is a very, very similar method to Pemb.
Yep.
I've seen Chris fish here before now, actually along this bank as well, and do very well in the UK Champs in years gone by. Carp
Again,
of the target.
All the guys using big pit reels with big spool to get that feeder out a long way into the open water. Big heavy river feeder rods.
Nice bit of carp fishing. It's all about taking your time with a fish like this, isn't it? You know, yes, it's a match situation, you want to get back out there, but this moment is what it's all about. You've got to get this fish in, because if you don't get this one in, it's going to take ages to catch another one.
Yeah,
So-
by the time you've chucked it out a long way, tied it up, sat there waiting for the bite, the last thing you want to be doing is pulling out of them.
The investment in time on playing this fish in as well, you know, it does take a while to bring them in.
Scrappy.
We always find that with the Barston fish, you know, they are very powerful. Shallow warm water. They've got a fountain on as well, which puts a lot of oxygen into the water, so they're always ready for a scrap, these things. And first sight of that fish there, just as it swims just below the surface, there's its tail. It's a mirror carp. Oh, possible opportunity there to net, but no, it's gone. And I've seen his lead, which means that he's definitely on the old tea bags. Looks like it might be a little bit of a ghost. It's a very pale mirror, this one.
Yeah, it seems,
A little bit of
seems
light
fairly
colour in
clear,
it.
doesn't it?
And that's it, it's on the surface. He's going to cruise that round into the net. And that is another few pounds on the board for Chris Vandervleit.
Yeah, looks like a decent mirror, doesn't it? Around eight pounds maybe.
So we're up in the high numbers now, and this is Dave Swain on peg 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 4 are two of the more favoured pegs for big carp weights. A lot of the time the match is won from up here, and Swain is into what looks like a unit down there, Ray.
Yeah, another big fish. Both these guys are saying they've got around about £100. Very, very hard to beat in the open matches. A lot of big open water chucks in front of them. No need to set a pole up. Great way of fishing. Big chuck out into the middle of the lake, and then feed a pellet waggler or a bomb line at about 30 yards. You don't have to worry about anything else.
There is another decent fish goes into the net. That's a cracking looking mirror there. And that looks like it's just shy of double figures.
Yeah, it's getting that way. Not quite, knocking on the door of double figures, but not quite. But you don't need many of them before you start putting a really big weight to go. And there's a long way to go in the match as well. Both of these guys knocking on the door of £100 already. Quite easily be first and second in the match.
And the big hour yet to come. And this now is peg 1, 2, 4, the peg everybody wants to draw.
Yeah, the peg.
Occupied today by Geoff Vallance, and he's making a very, very good job of it as well. Over £100. I would say match leader at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I think him and Swain next door are both saying about the same sort of weight, but these pegs are so hard to beat. Also, when you've got two really good anglers on them as well, these boys know exactly what they're doing on these pegs. Not a pole in sight, no need to set a pole up, no need to worry about anything silly like that, just all out attack.
You know, it's funny, I have in the past seen people setting a pole up here and fishing for skimmers down the edge line, and you just think, why on earth aren't you doing your research on this peg?
Yeah.
It's an out and out carp peg. If you want to weight, you've got to get on the boilies, or you've got to get on the pellets, and you've got to get out into the pond.
Yeah, a lot of the guys will set up 2 or 3 big chuck rods, a pellet waggler rod for over the line, and maybe over the 30-yard line, and then a pellet waggler where they're pinging the 8mm pellets, and that's all you got to do, you know, it's as simple as that. The fish live here, the guys know exactly how to catch them. They're making it look really easy, putting big weights together.
This one looks like it's gone round the corner a little bit. It might be grinding on the edge there. There's some reeds to Geoff's right hand side, and what the fish tend to do is they tend to kite round to the right hand side because there's a big area down there that nobody is allowed to fish. It's a safe area for them. It's behind the island, which forms the green of the 18th hole. And you know, if he's fishing a long way out and those carp decide to go right, they can hide themselves behind the reeds, which is exactly what this one has done. He's got it out, but it looks like he wants to go back there as well.
Yeah, Geoff just keeping the side strain on it, keeping the rod low, keeping the pressure on, just hoping he gets a little bit of a break and it swims back towards him. Anglers all wading out into the water here. Obviously they need to be no further away from the bank than they can turn around and touch with their hand. Just giving themselves that extra few feet, trying to create a bit more of an angle.
It looks like it's swimming out now.
I think it's coming out slowly, yeah. Geoff doing a really good job of this.
And it looks a good fish, that.
All big ones, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of double-figure carp in here now, and you can see why it's popular with carp anglers, and that is a chunk. And that was very, very well angled there. It went round the corner, but he's managed to bring it back again. And just look at that. That is something a carp angler will be happy with. Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships.
Every now and again, something comes along that is perfect. And I've got just the thing here. Cresta hook length box. It's not just like any other hook length box like you may think. This one, firstly you can see, all I have to do is bend down, see exactly what hooks I want for the situation I'm in. Very easy to open, 2 safety clips on the side there. You just simply open it like so. What makes these different is they come on individual winders. There's a couple of key features with this hook length box which I'd like to show you. First of all, on the winder there you have a round end and a hook end. Now obviously the 2 pins here are spaced at different intervals. One is for your 6-inch hook length and the other one is for your 4-inch hook length, which is what I've got here. But one of the most important things that I find with this hook length is when you take that hook length off the pin, the actual loop stays as a loop. So we've all been in the situation where you put a pole rig on, you go to change another hook, you take it off your winder and you can't get your loop to loop through. Well, every single time these come off with the perfect loop. They come in 2 different sizes. You've got the 4 and 6-inch and the 8 and 6-inch. Very clear, very, very easy to store. And this is what they come like in the shops. No one should be without one of these hook boxes. This is the best hook box on the market.
Cresta Gamakatsu, sponsors of the UK Angling Championships. Well, we're back in A section now, and this is peg 18, Dave Brown, and there's a bit of a neck and neck battle going on between Dave and Nick Speed at the moment, but Dave might just be getting the edge. They're looking at 50 odd pounds a piece, but you've only got to get one fish, and if they're £10 plus, that's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that Dave's starting to, stuck with this pellet wag. He's getting a few on it now. Nick's starting to struggle for bites. I'd be getting a little bit nervous if I was Nick, thinking that Dave might be taking points off me toward the latter stages of the match now.
Well, if he lands this one, I think I'm pegging him 1 fish ahead, which
think we are, yeah.
At the moment we're probably looking at £10 at the moment, and Nick's had a bit of a chop and a change. He's been on a longer line, picked up a few fish, had to go down the pole line. He spent an hour and a half without a bite earlier.
Yep.
Went on the pole line, didn't catch anything. He's gone back out into the middle of the pond again. I suspect something similar would have happened here, but the pellet waggler was the weapon of choice, and it seems to be working.
Yeah, it seems to be working now for Dave, catching 1 or 2 fish, and also Jack in the middle of these guys, saying maybe 35, getting toward £40 on the pole, catching skimmers. So it's getting very nail biting for Nick, trying to win his section again today, and you've got 2 guys certainly hot on his heels.
Well, you know, it's absolutely vital for Nick to win this section, as indeed it is for Pete Bailey. And what they're also reliant on is somebody knocking Pemb Wrighting down. Now, we've not been and seen Pemb for a while, but information tells us that he's been catching steady. And if he's leading his section still, it doesn't really matter what anyone else does. He'll finish up with a perfect score. So this last hour now is going to be absolutely vital. It's very exciting fishing, this, isn't it?
Great.
You know,
It's great.
You know you've got fish on when they're this big. It looks like it's hooked clean. It doesn't look like it's hooked anywhere other than where it should be. And it's amazing over the years, you know, I've been coming to Barston now for a good 8-9 years, and as a carp angler we've seen these carp grow and grow and grow, and they get a lot of food through the matches, both this style of match and also the carp fishing matches that come on. And the average size of fish used to be 8 to 12 pounds. If you got a double you were quite happy. Now, my word, anything less than a double is a bit of a surprise, and there's a lot of 18-pound fish.
Yeah, also all the match guys have beefed all their gear up accordingly, Rob. You know, they're using bigger, stronger hooks, heavier rods, thicker line, bigger landing nets.
He's got it. There we are, yeah, he's got a ghosty, and that's knocking on the door of double figures again. Well, we're back with Nick Speed now, and no sooner does Dave hook into one and land one, but Nick's in as well. And this is the long chuck that Nick put out a few minutes ago, and I've just had a quick word with him before the camera arrived, and he said this is huge. Now, at long range...
That was a big chuck as well. We saw that go out. It was 90, 100 yards, wasn't it?
Absolutely. They can kite a fair bit. It's probably 30 yards to the right at the moment, but he's got the gear to bring it in. And the key now, Ray, is just taking time, isn't it?
No hurry is there.
There's a reasonable amount of time already invested into this carp, so it needs to go in the bank.
Yeah, this might be one of the biggest fish we've seen today, mate. It's a proper one, I think, is the expression.
Not sure if it's foul hooked. It doesn't necessarily look like it's foul hooked, although there is a little bit of shake in that tip.
Maybe just a big weighty fish.
Certainly worth waiting for, this one, that's for sure.
Yeah, this could probably put Nick back in. Oh, but Dave's down in again, down a few pegs down, but the size of this fish could well be looking at putting Nick back in the lead in the section.
Well, it needs to be 20 pound to make up the weight deficit of the fish that have been caught during the period that this has been played.
Yeah, possibly.
So this is where the mathematics come into it, isn't it? How big is it? If it's 10 pounds and it's foul hooked, it's been a bit of a time waster. If it's 20 pounds and it's not, it's well worth it. There's quite a few people watching this at the moment, and everybody's feeling a little bit tense. Even the dog's interested. He's going to feel his forearm tomorrow. And this is the thick end of, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
As the clutch ticks and it goes in the opposite direction.
Just a big shake of the head and a wag of the tail, and off it swims again when they're that big.
And there it is. Oh. Well, that...
Well done, Speedy.
Oh,
well done, mate.
That is a fantastic effort. Well done, Nick.
Well done, mate. Oh, God, I can relax now as well.
Good fish. Good fish,
Well
and
done,
it seems to be clean. Now that is what we call a scrap. Well, the dying stages of the match now are upon us, and it's been a very, very slow end to this competition. Not too many fish caught at all, has there, Ray? And you've got the pleasure and also the privilege of calling to an end this year's championship. So we've just seen the clock tick over. Away you go. All out! And there it is, the end of Tournament 2017. The big question on everybody's minds is, has this man by the side of us done enough? Has he got the section win? Because if he has, you know what, he's untouchable. If he hasn't, then it's game on. So just talk us through the match then, Pemb. Great from start to finish, really nice and consistent.
Well, it's I've had a couple of good spells of catching really on the PVA bag. Sort of worked my way out as the day went on, but a lot of the day it was slack, to be honest, and I've had to go on the pole for skimmers because it was that slack at one point, just keep ticking over. Luckily, I think my nearest competitors in the section were either side, so I could keep an eye on them, just make sure I kept ahead, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I have, but we'll see it the way in.
So when you're looking at changes, what are you doing to ring those changes? Is it a case of, right, I'll give it half an hour on something and then change over, or do you spot something and think, I'll try that instead? Or
all sorts really. Like now and again, it felt like that long line needed a rest, so I'd come in short over where I'd loose fed some 8mm pellets on a hybrid feeder. I only hooked one on that, but snagged up in Craig next door, unfortunately, and come off. So that's a bit annoying, but yeah. And then I get a little bit on a waggler later on, because I see a fish turn over on my feed where I've been loose feeding the pellets. But yeah, just sort of trying to second guess the fish really, and just sort of tee the next move up has been the key, and just rest areas and then go on and go a bit further out and nick a couple more really as the day went on.
brilliant. Well, we think you've got it at the moment. We don't know. The scalesman will obviously tell us, but we think you've got it.
Well, I don't like to count me chickens, so we'll see on the way in.
Here we have the third weigh of carp for Dave Brown. 41 kilo 725 on the score sheet already. That is 65 kilos and 75 grams. That puts Dave well and truly in the lead for the section at the moment. So next speed, he needs 65 kilos, doesn't think he's got it, but an absolute must to be in with a shout. We know that Pemb Wrighting's had a good result so far. 17 kilos 125 Nick Speed's last weigh now, and he is not going to pass Dave Brown by any stretch of the imagination with that. It's a good bag. There's some decent carp in there. However, 48 kilos needed. It's not 48 kilos for sure. So that will be at least second. However, it might even be third in section, because we know Dale Shepherd, the man who is holding the scales at the moment, he has weighed in at 41 kilos. 18 kilos, that's 35 kilos, 225. That puts Nick Speed fourth in section. So, first weigh for Craig Goldstraw. This is the man that may well challenge Pemb for first place. And the first weight there was how much?
18,075.
18 kilo 075, first weigh. Silvers now, 18 kilos and 75. Ray King there just checking. Everything is fine. A couple of grams of water dribbling out the bottom. Everything has to make sure that it is all absolutely bang on. 1 kilo 900. So 19 kilo 975. 19 kilo 975. Craig Goldstraw goes into the leading section. Pemb Wrighting. 29 kilo 375 is the weight so far. And here we have a load more carp going in. The scales haven't been up the rest of the section yet, but our intel tells us there is nobody up there that can match that weight. What we have heard, and I don't know if Pemb has heard this yet, but Pete Bailey finished fourth in section down at the bottom end. So Pete is well and truly out of the running. Nick Speed finished fourth as well, so Pemb can actually now afford to come third in section. 2 more to go.
Well, 2 more to go, yeah.
Coming round.
2 more to go.
We shall see.
Current race leader, Pemb Wrighting, with a weight of 47,325. Second in section, Craig Goldstraw, 19,975. Third, Nigel Harry, 19,900. Then Gareth Lennox, 16,800. So 2 more to go, but the weights are dropping lower and lower. 6,475 Mark Roger, 5,275 Mike Gillespie. What's Chris Jones got?
Craig, come on, Craig. 12,825.
12,825. Pemb Wrighting, 1 more to go.
1 more to go.
So this is it.
You might just managed it, mate.
Well, we look at that. It looks like it's silverfish just coming out there. There is no need to see anything else. Pemb, can I be the first to officially congratulate you? Looking at that, no way on this planet, mate. British champion, how does that feel?
Well, I've made up, always wanted to win this, so yeah, made up, mate.
So big names on there. One of the biggest is now your name, 2017. It's there, it's in history. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, I loved it. Great series, greatly run series. Yeah, brilliant. Made up.
Pemb Wrighting. Congratulations, you are the new UK champion.